The last time I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I was grinning the entire movie. It says a lot that Into the Spider-Verse was able to accomplish so much in such a limited time frame and managed to still be one of the best animated films to date. Interestingly enough, the film's main character, Miles Morales, has never been the most popular of the web slingers in the comics, but Into the Spider-Verse not only makes Miles likable, but also relatable. He's just a kid still figuring things out. Great expectations, and awkwardly getting his hand stuck in a fellow student who Miles happens to have a crush on, Gwen Stacy, are just some of the things that we see in the film. Whether it's scenes involving Miles and his uncle Aaron, voiced wonderfully by Mahershala Ali, or scenes that show Miles trying to adjust to life with his newfound abilities, Into the Spider-Verse does this all really well for an animated feature. Shemay Moore, the star of the film Dope, voices Miles in Into the Spider-Verse, and to me he is very well suited for the character, as is Haley Steinfeld, who stars as Spider-Gwen. As diverse as the movie is, it never feels like this is Sony trying to get a boost or let's give Sony a big hooray for including minorities and women. The characters are who they are, and Miles, much like Peter Parker before him, is still finding his way in this thing called life. The film boasts Spider-Man and women of the past, present, and seemingly of what may indeed be to come in the future of this Spider-Verse, and doesn't waste time in building a bond between the Peter Parker of another Earth and the main character Miles. Some may see this as a flaw, but honestly I consider it to be one of the movie's main strengths. That, of course, and Miles' cool-ass uncle, Aaron, aka the Prowler. But in regards to Peter Parker, the film builds on the relationship between he and Miles without letting one character outshine the other. The film could have easily focused mostly on Miles and had Pete appear on a now you see me, now you don't, but I'm still somewhere basis, but it didn't. And honestly, it paid off in the end. Seeing the team up of Penny Parker, Spider-Pig, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Woman aka Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Man worked for the film, especially when you consider the other characters that are present in the movie as well. The animation is also very much a big highlight for the movie, something I initially didn't expect to enjoy as much going in. It's literally about as comic booky as it gets. Callbacks to the Spider-Man movies of the past and pop culture references like referencing Chance the Rapper, along with some of the creators of Spider-Man, add to the charm of the movie. Initially, it's clearly evident that he needs assistance of a more experienced Spider-Man to teach him how to be the Spider-Man the city needs. Even when it seems like he's ready to call it quits, he stands on his own 2 feet and gets back in the fight, much to everyone's, including his own, surprise. Like the old saying goes, you just can't keep a good man down, even against a guy as massive and wide as Wilson Fisk. Wilson Fisk's presence in this film came as a bit of a surprise, but like Netflix's Daredevil before it, his presence is certainly welcome in the movie, and it really doesn't disappoint. His motivation is clear, and he proves to be a formidable opponent, even with the Spider-Man and women as his opponent. As great as it is to see a young man of color suit up and face off against bad guys and the army of goons, the movie's vibrant and eye-popping animation is an even bigger boost of the film itself. It is colorful when it needs to be, and it's appropriately dark and gloomy when a particular scene calls for it. It is going to be interesting to see how Miles will age in the Spider-Verse and how the other Spider-Man and women are included. Maybe in the next film focus solely on Miles taking on the bad guys all his own and show his progression as the new Spidey. I really like Gwen Stacy in this movie. I liked her hairstyle and appreciated that she wasn't a forced girl power character that needed to remind everyone that she was around or that she was a girl kicking ass. Her chemistry with Miles and slick Spidey moves leave me hopeful that she too will be seen in the Spider-Verse, whether that is in subsequent sequels or perhaps her own spin-off. With Haley Steinfeld's name attached, I'd say anything is possible. If nothing else, much like the PS4 Spider-Man game that released last year, Into the Spider-Verse showed that Miles is just as easy to root for as Peter. Miles' popularity in comparison to the others has never been high, but last year was definitely a year to remember for Miles. Into the Spider-Verse is also a prime example of why animated films can be strong films and shouldn't just be dismissed as quote-unquote kid stuff, because in reality, they are for everyone. There's a lesson in Into the Spider-Verse for everyone young and old, whether it's facing your fears, not doing emo dancing in emo fashion, and among other things. We also sometimes overlook that some of the greatest superhero stories have been seen in animated form, like Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series, the 90s X-Men series, and quite a few others. Isn't it crazy how going into this, no one predicted that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse would be as successful as it was, myself included. And then once it released, some were calling it the best or one of the best Spider-Man films ever made, like myself. I'm glad it won the Oscar because truthfully, I saw no better animated movie last year. Phil Lord and Chris Miller struck gold literally with this film, and I have a feeling that the best is yet to come. With plans for sequels, spin-offs, and TV series, the expectations are indeed great, and I hope and believe that this universe will continue to deliver. I know.